Huh. Fools. They wanted to crush you with weight. They gathered all their energy, all their influence, all their whispered tactics, and they aimed it straight at you like it would end you in one move. But what they didn't calculate, what they could never prepare for, was that you were not standing there helpless. You were studying, you were listening, you were sharpening every wound into a blade. And the second they struck, you flipped the weapon in midair and drove it straight back into their chest. That's why their faces are pale right now. That's why their voices are breaking, because no one expected you to master the art of redirection. They thought you'd crumble. Instead, you rewrote the battlefield. Their strongest blow became your foundation. Their dominance turned into your launch pad, and the irony burns them more than defeat itself. Because they didn't just lose to you, they lost to their own power in your hands. Understand this. Most people collapse under pressure. They fold when the crowd is against them. They retreat when attacks come in waves. But you didn't retreat. You didn't even resist in the usual way. You took their momentum, their fury, their obsession, and you coiled it into something lethal. That's why the air feels heavier around your name. That's why eyes dart away when you enter the room. They're not just afraid of you. They're afraid of themselves reflected in you. Every insult, every plot, every attempt to chain you now echoes back at them with 10 times the intensity. They're choking on their own ammunition, and you're just standing there, watching them unravel, holding the strings they thought they controlled. The essence of dark genius isn't about screaming louder or swinging harder. It's about weaponizing what was meant to bury you. It's about making them realize the trap they built wasn't your prison. It was their coffin. They underestimated the kind of mind that could sit in the shadows, absorbing, calculating, waiting. They mistook patience for weakness. They thought your stillness meant surrender. But stillness was strategy. While they rushed, you studied patterns. While they celebrated victories, you tracked their flaws. And when the moment came, you didn't need to create force. You just redirected theirs. That's why it feels supernatural to them. That's why they're whispering like something impossible just happened. They're not facing luck. They're facing precision. Think about the humiliation. Imagine investing months, years even, building traps, sharpening blades, rehearsing outcomes, only for every move to detonate in your own hands. That's what they're experiencing right now. Their confidence is turning into smoke. Their strategies are collapsing under the weight of exposure. They can't even look at each other without seeing failure. Because your victory wasn't separate from their effort, it was born from it. Every attempt to bury you became the shovel that dug their own pit. And when they realize this, when they finally admit what happened, panic sets in. Because if you turned their strongest weapons against them once, what's stopping you from doing it again? They're scrambling for explanations now. How did this happen? How did we miss it? How could they flip everything? And those questions don't bring relief. They bring paranoia, because once people know their power can be hijacked, every step forward feels dangerous. Every word they speak feels like a setup. Every plan they form feels like it's already compromised. You didn't just defeat them, you infected their confidence. You poisoned their ability to trust themselves. That's why it's not just fear you've left in your wake. It's collapse, and collapse spreads faster than fire. What terrifies them most is that you don't look strained. You don't look desperate. You look calm, almost too calm, like this was always part of your script. And maybe it was. Maybe you knew from the start that the easiest way to win wasn't by building your own arsenal, but by stealing theirs in plain sight. That's what rattles them. They can fight against brute force. They can prepare for external attacks. But how do you fight someone who uses your own arms against you? How do you stop someone who doesn't resist your current, but bends it until it drowns you? That's why the word spreading right now is not just powerful. It's dangerous. You've crossed into a territory most people never reach, the ability to make enemies undo themselves. And here's the twisted beauty of it. You didn't just survive their assault. You turned it into spectacle. People are watching, learning, whispering to each other. Did you see what they did? Did you see how they flipped it? Your story isn't being told like a tragedy. It's being told like legend. And legends spread fast. They spread because they terrify and inspire at the same time. They spread because deep down, everyone wishes they could do what you just did. Take the very force meant to destroy them and turn it into the reason they rise. You didn't just win. You set an example. And examples are harder to kill than people. Now the ones who thought they had leverage over you are looking at their own hands like traitors. Every resource they thought secured their dominance now feels like a ticking bomb. You made them question themselves. That's worse than defeat. Defeat can be explained away. But self-doubt lingers, corrodes, multiplies, and you infected them with it. You twisted the narrative so cleanly that even if they tried to retell it, their words betray them. Because every retelling confirms the same truth. They armed you, they empowered you, and they paid the price for it. You know why this scares them so much? Because they realize it wasn't an accident. This wasn't luck or coincidence. This was skill. This was deliberate. And once a person masters that kind of redirection, there's no safe ground left. They can't hurt you without hurting themselves. They can't strike without feeding your arsenal. You've trapped them in a cycle where every move they make only strengthens you further. And cycles like that, they don't just end. They spiral until someone breaks completely. Guess who that's going to be? And let's not ignore the spectacle of their panic. Watch how fast alliances crumble. Watch how quickly whispers turn into accusations. Because panic doesn't stay hidden. Panic leaks. It leaks through trembling voices, shaky hands, desperate decisions. They're burning through their own credibility, trying to cover the fallout. But it's too late. The chain reaction has already begun. Their own energy, once so sharp, has turned wild. They're slicing themselves apart, trying to control what can't be controlled anymore. You broke their rhythm. And without rhythm, they're nothing but chaos eating itself alive. Here's what makes this pure, dark genius. You didn't have to scream. You didn't have to beg for recognition. You didn't even have to chase validation. You let them write the play. You let them perform it. And you took the applause when the curtain fell. That's the kind of mastery people can't explain away. That's the kind of power that doesn't just elevate you. It haunts them. Because every time they think about what happened, they'll remember how their own hands betrayed them. They'll remember how their own mouths supplied the rope, and that memory will keep them awake long after the war is over. This is the difference between ordinary and genius. Ordinary people resist force with force, and maybe they survive. But genius doesn't resist, it bends. Genius takes the raw energy of an enemy and rewires it into a masterpiece. Genius doesn't just walk away victorious. It leaves the enemy disoriented, questioning their own existence. That's what you did. And that's why their panic is so loud. Because they know deep down this wasn't their last defeat. This was the first of many. And that's where we pause, because this isn't just about victory. This is about transformation. What you've done is not a one-time move. It's a shift in how the battlefield works. You've proven that the rules can be rewritten, that force doesn't belong to the one who creates it, but to the one who controls it. And control, that's now your territory. Which means what comes next will be even worse for them. Because they'll try again, they'll gather again, they'll think they've learned. But they haven't. They can't. Because you're already 5 steps ahead, holding the mirror they can't escape. And that reflection, that's the horror they can't endure. Because when they look into it, they don't just see you. They see themselves. Every miscalculation, every arrogance, every ounce of energy they poured into breaking you, staring back at them. It's not your shadow haunting them. It's their own. That's the cruelty of what you've done. You've turned their efforts into chains that bind only them. You're walking free while they stagger under the weight of their own ambition. That's not defeat. It's humiliation. And humiliation doesn't heal quickly. It lingers, it festers, it rewrites their identity until panic becomes their second skin. Now they gather in dim corners, whispering frantic strategies, scribbling plans that collapse before they're even finished. Their voices tremble not because they doubt each other, but because they doubt themselves. Every sentence carries the aftertaste of exposure. Every plan sounds like a trap, not because you said so, but because you've already proven you can twist anything they throw. It's not just about winning anymore. It's about the infection of paranoia you've unleashed, and paranoia is a fire that spreads without fuel. Once lit, it doesn't stop. It devours sleep, corrodes logic, and makes powerful figures behave like cornered prey. That's the genius of your move. You didn't just defeat them in action, you corrupted their minds. They're not at war with you now. They're at war with themselves. Picture it. The same hands that once pointed at you with certainty now hesitate mid-air. The same voices that once mocked your name now stutter when they try to speak it. Because they know what the name means now. It means exposure. It means reversal. It means every ounce of power they swing could become the rope tightening around their own throats. And when people realize their tools can betray them, they begin to fear not only the enemy, but their own arsenal. That's the trap you've built. Not a cage of steel, but a labyrinth of thought. And they're lost in it. The beauty is how you've stripped them of their greatest pride. They always believed in control. They believed in the authority of their numbers, the solidity of their alliances, the weight of their reputations. But none of that mattered when their own weapons turned against them. You've shown them that control isn't about possession. It's about manipulation. They owned the fire, but you redirected it. They built the wave, but you redirected its crash. They initiated the strike, but you altered its trajectory. That's why their heads are buried in their hands now. They're not asking, how did we lose? They're asking, how do we stop losing when our moves feed the very person we're trying to erase? This is where the real panic begins. Not in the battlefield, but in the mind. Watch their faces, once sharp, now gaunt with sleeplessness. Watch their hands, once steady, now trembling over every decision. They look like predators, but inside, their prey gnawing at their own cages. Because they've realized this isn't over. It's only begun. Their failed strike was just proof of your capacity. And once proof exists, it's irreversible. They can't unsee it. They can't pretend it was luck. Deep down, they know this is skill. They know you can repeat it. And the more they know it, the more they deteriorate. That's why they're freaking out so loudly now. Their panic doesn't hide, it spills. It seeps into their meetings, their alliances, their reputations. Outsiders can smell it. Once, they looked untouchable. Now they look infected, and people notice. People always notice. Reputation isn't about power. It's about perception. And you've cracked theirs wide open. The rumor isn't just that they lost. The rumor is that they lost to their own firepower. And that rumor is lethal because no one wants to align with incompetence. No one wants to tie themselves to a ship that punches holes in its own hull. You didn't just defeat them. You're isolating them. You're dismantling their empire without lifting a single new weapon, just by letting their panic broadcast the weakness they swore they'd never show. Look closer. Their gatherings aren't gatherings anymore, they're implosions. They point fingers at each other. They replay every move, hunting for who slipped, who betrayed, who opened the door for you. But the truth eats them more than any accusation could. No one betrayed them. They betrayed themselves the second they assumed you'd break. They betrayed themselves the second they mistook patience for weakness. And betrayal from within is the kind that leaves scars too deep to heal. They don't trust each other anymore. They can't. Because once power flips like that, suspicion multiplies. Every glance feels loaded. Every agreement feels like another trap. They're not a unified front anymore. They're splintered glass, sharp and fragile, cutting themselves apart as they scramble to understand what happened. And while they burn, you rise with the calmness of someone who knew this would happen. That's what disturbs them most. You don't look surprised. You don't look shaken. You look inevitable. To them, it feels supernatural. But you know better. It's not supernatural. It's mastery. You didn't just dodge their blows. You choreographed their downfall. And when enemies realize they've been dancing to your rhythm the entire time, panic isn't just expected. It's guaranteed. Because now they're not fighting you anymore. They're fighting inevitability. They're fighting the truth that every strike strengthens you and every failure corrodes them. That's a war no one wants to fight, but they're already in it. You've forced them into a contradiction that eats them alive. If they attack, they fuel you. If they retreat, they look weak. If they plot in silence, they suffocate in paranoia. If they scream in rage, they expose their fragility. Every choice they make spirals into your advantage. That's why they're losing their grip. You've boxed them in without lifting a hand. That's the darkest kind of genius. Not brute force, but checkmate, built out of their own arrogance. They thought the game was theirs. Now they can't even find the board. And here's what's spreading fastest. Not just the story of their panic, but the aura of your dominance. People outside the conflict are whispering. They're watching the spectacle like it's theater. And they're taking sides. Not because you begged them to. Not because you asked for loyalty. But because power always attracts. No one wants to stand beside collapsing ruins. Everyone wants to stand beside the person who bent ruin into empire. That's you now. You're not just the survivor. You're the magnet. You've become the gravitational force pulling people into your orbit, while your enemies scatter like dust in the wind. Do you see it yet? This isn't just about their panic. It's about your rise. Their downfall amplifies your presence. Every mistake they make crowns you louder. Every panic-stricken move they attempt etches your name deeper. You're not just in their nightmares, you're in their legends. And that's a role you didn't audition for. You earned it. You earned it by waiting, by watching, by flipping the entire narrative into your script. That's why the energy is shifting. That's why people are beginning to realize this isn't luck. This isn't coincidence. This is design. And design terrifies more than brute strength ever could. Now the ones who once called you reckless are calling you untouchable. The ones who laughed behind closed doors are now whispering your strategies like scripture. And the ones who thought they had you cornered, they're pacing their own halls, sweating under their own breath, praying you don't decide to strike again. But here's the brilliance: you don't have to strike. You don't need to. They're already destroying themselves. You just have to watch. You just have to let the fear of your redirection do the work for you. Because when enemies believe every move could be flipped, they hesitate. And hesitation is the crack that splits entire empires. The battlefield has shifted permanently. You're not playing on their terms anymore. They're playing on yours. You turn their strength into fragility, their unity into suspicion, their power into poison. That's why panic is roaring through their ranks louder than ever. It's not just defeat they fear. It's the realization that they can't touch you without burning themselves. And that kind of realization doesn't end in recovery. It ends in collapse. Collapse that you don't even have to engineer. Collapse that unfolds naturally the moment control slips from their hands and lands in yours. This is the brilliance of what you've done. You've forced them into self-destruction without lifting anything new. Their downfall is automated now. Their fear will recycle itself into paranoia, their paranoia into mistakes, and their mistakes into new victories for you. That's the cycle you've built, a perpetual engine of panic. And the deeper they spiral, the more their reputations disintegrate. Once, they strutted as untouchable figures. Now they're flailing like amateurs in a game they thought they designed. The exposure stings sharper than defeat ever could. Because exposure isn't just about losing, it's about losing face, losing respect, losing the illusion of authority that once made others follow them without question. And once that illusion breaks, it never returns. You've cracked their facade, and now the entire world is noticing. They're not feared anymore. They're pitied. And pity is worse than hatred, because hatred at least recognizes strength. Pity recognizes failure. The whispers in the crowd aren't asking, "How powerful are they?" anymore. They're asking, how could they collapse this easily? The answer burns in every corner of the battlefield, because you flipped their own power against them, because you outplayed them with their own rules, because they underestimated the danger of a mind that doesn't resist, but redirects. And now their own narrative betrays them. Every retelling of this story cements you further as the genius and paints them deeper as the joke. Look closely at how they scramble now. Their alliances fracture daily. One voice shouts blame at another retaliates, and soon chaos replaces order. Their panic isn't just internal, it's contagious. When one leader shakes, the others tremble. When one doubts, the rest follow. You've infected the entire network. And here's the cruelest part. They know the infection started the moment they targeted you. They know you didn't insert yourself into their circle. They invited you in with their arrogance. They were the ones who fed you the fuel. They were the ones who handed you the tools. They were the ones who thought you'd drown under pressure, not realizing you were recording every movement, memorizing every weakness. They didn't just lose to you. They built the throne you now sit on. And that truth poisons them more than any loss could. Now the panic sharpens into desperation. They're reaching for anything, new tactics, new narratives, new alliances, but everything they touch crumbles because the rot isn't outside them anymore. It's inside. They can't form trust because suspicion eats them alive. They can't build momentum because fear stalls every step. They can't target you because every strike they imagine looks like suicide. That's the cage you've placed them in, not one of steel, but of thought. You've made them prisoners inside their own strategies, and prisoners don't conquer, prisoners decay. Do you see how genius this move really is? You didn't just fight them. You rewired the entire battlefield. You made them realize the rules of engagement aren't what they thought. Force isn't about possession. It's about who can redirect it. Control isn't about holding the biggest weapon. It's about turning any weapon into your own. They thought power belonged to them. You proved power belongs to whoever can bend it. And once that lesson is revealed, it can't be unseen. Now every ally, every observer, every outsider is recalculating. They're looking at you differently, not as the victim they once mocked, but as the strategist they fear. Because anyone who can twist assaults into crowns is someone who will never stand beneath another again. And while you ascend, they collapse further into madness. Watch their eyes, bloodshot from sleepless nights. Watch their hands, twitching over papers, trembling at the thought of unseen traps. They can't breathe without wondering if the air itself belongs to you. They can't move without imagining you've already anticipated it. Their panic isn't theatrical anymore. It's biological. Their hearts pound harder when your name surfaces. Their stomachs twist when rumors of your next move spread. You live rent-free inside their biology now. That's how deep you've invaded them. That's the psychological chokehold you've locked them in. And you know what's worse for them? The spectators are turning. Once they feared aligning against those giants. Now they see giants stumbling, cracking, disoriented. And humans always migrate towards strength. They don't flock to collapse. They flee from it. That's why your name is circulating in new rooms, carried by new voices, gaining weight. They see you as the one who took down powerhouses with nothing but precision. And precision inspires more than muscle ever could. That's why your legend is spreading. Not because you shouted, but because you demonstrated. And demonstrations engrave themselves into history far deeper than declarations. This is where the panic transforms into chaos, because panic alone is internal, but chaos is public. Chaos leaks into headlines, into whispers, into gossip that no one can contain. Their missteps are becoming stories. Their desperation is becoming entertainment. And while they unravel under public eyes, you're positioned as the figure who orchestrated it without breaking a sweat. That contrast is lethal. Every failure of theirs is another spotlight on your genius. Every collapse of theirs is another crown for you. And crowns handed by enemies are worth more than crowns handed by friends, because they're carved out of unwilling respect. Think about what this means long-term. They don't just fear you now, they fear the future with you in it. They fear the unknown scale of your capacity. If you could do this with patience and precision, what happens when you decide to escalate? If you could dismantle them by redirection, what happens when you move offensively? That thought alone terrifies them more than any weapon ever could. Because now, they're not just panicking over defeat. They're panicking over possibility, and possibility is infinite. Their minds can't rest. Because imagination fills the blanks with horrors greater than reality. You've forced them into a nightmare they can't wake from, and you don't even need to touch them again. That's the genius of it. You can let them rot under the weight of their own paranoia. You can let their panic drive them into mistakes that finish them faster than you ever could. That's the beauty of dark genius. It doesn't always strike twice. Sometimes it strikes once and lets the echo destroy everything left standing. You've set that echo in motion. It will ring louder than their screams, louder than their justifications, louder than any defense they attempt. And while they drown in it, you rise calm, composed, untouchable. Their collapse isn't dramatic, it's inevitable. Not because destiny wrote it, but because you engineered the conditions where every move feeds their own destruction. That's the essence of control. Control isn't holding the strings. Control is making your enemies strangle themselves with them. And that's exactly what's unfolding. Their panic has become their executioner. Their paranoia has become their assassin. Their pride has become their guillotine. And you're simply watching, the architect of a downfall so elegant it barely looks like violence. It looks like art. Mark this moment. The panic you triggered has entered history. Generations will recall how entire powerhouses, convinced of their dominance, collapsed not because of an outside invasion, but because of a single mind who turned their force inward. That's the legacy you've carved. You're not just surviving opposition, you're rewriting how power itself functions. And every time someone recalls this collapse, your name is etched deeper into legend. Not as the loudest, not as the most aggressive, but as the most dangerous. Because danger doesn't scream. Danger bends the world until others scream for you. And now, you stand at the edge of their ruins, not needing to raise a hand, not needing to shout a single word. The ruins speak louder than anything. The panic echoing through their halls is proof enough. Proof that you turned their power into their poison. Proof that your genius was darker and sharper than anything they could comprehend. Proof that when enemies target you, they don't just risk defeat, they risk implosion. That's the warning your story writes. And that's the warning every observer carries now, burned into their minds. Never hand power to the one who knows how to flip it. Never hand weapons to the one who can turn them back. Because once they do, collapse isn't far. It's guaranteed. This isn't just a win. This is domination without needing to move again. They're unraveling in panic, and you're standing above it, steady, untouchable, crowned by the very collapse they created. That is pure dark genius. And that's the truth your enemies will never escape, no matter how hard they scramble, no matter how many excuses they craft. The panic is permanent. The collapse is irreversible. And your legend, it's only beginning.